Have you ever questioned what it really means to live at the threshold? To seek balance between faith and doubt, between the sacred and the world that mostly isn't paying attention? This is the hidden threshold, a space for the lived, evolving practice, a place where the sacred and the ordinary keep meeting and neither one stays the same. Rooted in pagan and magical tradition, but open to anyone who's ever tried to live what they believe. I'm Veyrin Vale, and I'm glad you're here. Let's begin. My hematite ring broke in half last week. It wasn't old or particularly thin, and it didn't just slip off my finger. It just broke, the way hematite tends to do. Honestly, I've lost count of how many times this has happened. And not just with rings. Bead bracelets, necklaces, the hematite eye of a raven ring I had once. If they're made of hematite, they always end up the same way. And every single time, I have the same reaction. It's like a little nod of understanding, almost as if I'm thinking, yep, you did your thing. If you move around in pagan circles, you'll hear that hematite absorbs or dissolves negativity. That's the heart of it. There isn't much more to it. It's just a stone known for its ability to take in all the rough energy we collect. You wear hematite and just go about your life, through meetings, grocery stores, bad days, better days, and somewhere along the line, that stone fills up on the stuff you can't carry anymore. And when it snaps, well, that's what's supposed to happen. The stone finished what you asked it to do. Job done. A lot of people would see a broken ring and just think, I guess I better get a new one. It's just a broken accessory, right? Replace it or toss it. But if you treat these objects as more than decoration, this moment feels different. The ring wasn't just for show. It operated quietly, soaking up the things I couldn't name until it reached its limit and told me, in no uncertain terms, that's it, I'm done. What comes next isn't automatic. Maybe I'll get another ring. Maybe I'll go for something different. Or maybe I'll take a break from hematite altogether. That's a completely different question. That's really what I want to explore here. The idea that some objects in our lives have actual roles to play beyond just fashion. They sit with us day to day, almost invisible, putting in work in the background. And when their time's up, they let us know. It's easy to forget this or not even notice it at all, but it lands differently when you pay attention. So I want to ask you, what are you actually carrying today? Physically, not metaphorically. What's on your wrist, around your neck, tied to your bag? What is that object doing for you quietly, right now? That's what I'm sitting with this week. And if you want to, you can sit with it too. If you ever watch people who practice any kind of spiritual path, whether they are pagans, folks into magic, or even just anyone walking their own road, you'll notice something subtle. The real weight isn't in what they wear, but in what they carry. It's a curious but meaningful difference. Wearing something, it's passive. You slip a ring on, drape a pendant, and it sits there, looking pretty, but not much else. Carrying takes you a step further. You pick it up, keep it close, sometimes tucked out of sight, and in some way, it works for you, whether you're thinking about it or not. Ask around. Ask any practitioner you know, and pretty soon you'll hear about their everyday kit. The talismans and touchstones fall into a handful of real, lived-in categories. There's always some kind of grounding piece, something that acts like a steadying hand on your shoulder when anxiety bites or stress crowds in. Hematite turns up a lot, so do hunks of black tourmaline or pocket-smooth smoky quartz. Stones that, in the language of their tradition, anchor the self, settle jittery nerves, and keep the noise dialed down. You don't consciously use them like a spell, or at least not every time. But on the days you forget or misplace them, that absence is a real, if slight, feeling, like missing a belt loop or leaving the house without your phone. Then you run into the protective pieces, symbols that are carved or cast, like pentacles, bind runes, hamsa hands, or crosses, worn not only from habit or family, but with active intent. They broadcast, quietly but without a doubt, that you belong to something. Sometimes it's personal, a quiet pledge to your path when only you know. Sometimes it's communal, a little signal fire for those who share your language, nodding in the grocery store line or catching your eye in a meeting. That symbol faces both ways. It roots you inside your tradition, even as it signals outside, this is who I am. There are devotional tokens too. Maybe a tiny ankh, or a Thor's hammer, or the broad forehead of Ganesha. These aren't just accessories. They're messages, not of supplication, but of ongoing relationship. The object reflects a story running between you and a specific divinity or ancestor. It's not religion, just as distant ritual. It's daily conversation, steady as a heartbeat. These pieces feel weighty because of the threads they represent, the connections you tend quietly in the chaos of modern life. Then there's always something small, something hidden, meant for no eyes but your own. A few words etched on the inside of a ring, or a tiny sigil under your cuff. Nobody else ever reads it or even knows it's there. It's a code, a promise, or a reminder locked between you and the path you walk. It might not announce anything to the world, but sometimes it means the most. So what ties all this together? These objects don't care where you are or who's watching. They don't switch off in the office or lose their charge in a noisy restaurant. The grounding stone still calms you, even in a fluorescent-lit boredom. The protective symbol still shelters you, even when the only spirits near are tired commuters. The devotional marker keeps its promise, whether you're in a crowd or completely alone. And that private emblem? It presses its meaning into your skin all day, invisible but real. Carrying these tokens doesn't mean keeping your spirituality locked away until there's a right time. If anything, it disperses the sacred. It threads it through the entire fabric of your life, sometimes loudly, sometimes in a quiet whisper. The sacred becomes portable, ordinary, intimate. Every pocket, every cuff, every hidden nook is a small altar, and the day goes differently because of it. I have this piece of finger armor that I love, but it's not something I wear every day. There are 2 pentacles on it, one above and one below the knuckle. As far as I know, there's only one other out there. That one's long and slim, made for a different kind of hand. Mine is short and broad and sometimes can be a bit awkward. But when you find something truly one of a kind, you sometimes find a way to make it fit your life. It stays tucked away most days, but there are moments, like dates, performances, or other occasions where I reach for it. Sometimes I want something that was chosen deliberately, with purpose. The grounding stone, the rings I slip on without thinking, are constants. But this is different. When the right occasion comes, I pick it up on purpose. Not by habit, but because the moment itself asks for it. You can tell when you need to mark time just a little differently. I think most people who practice have something like this. Maybe it's a ring that waits in a jewelry box for the full moon, or a cloak that only sees the outside world during a ceremony, or a necklace that lives in a drawer until it's called out by a feeling. These objects don't just hang around, blending into everyday life. They have a clear task. You put them on when you want a moment to declare itself, when you want to be present and accounted for, instead of drifting along in the current of your daily routine. What I find really striking about pieces like this is how they disrupt our ideas about where and how ritual happens. If you pull out something special for a show or a family dinner, places that have no altar or candlelight, the intention is still real. You don't need sacred walls or marked off time to make something meaningful. The act of choosing, of suiting up with a thought in mind, makes the space sacred all on its own, even if nobody else can see it. When I put on that finger armor, I know I'm stepping into this moment with more focus and more presence. Maybe nobody else notices, but I do. My regular cloak, the easygoing, everyday energy I carry, stays in place, but underneath, I've added a quiet layer of intent. It's simple, really, a way of saying this matters, even if that meaning is just for me. There's a feeling most of us know, even if we don't usually label it. You're getting ready for something that really means something to you, like a wedding, a religious holiday, or some kind of ceremony, and you realize your everyday clothes just don't feel right. It's not that your Tuesday jeans or well-worn t-shirt are bad, it's just that you know this moment is set apart, and your body feels it before your mind even tries to rationalize why. That tug, that instinct to reach for something different, spans every tradition I can think of. Christians have their Sunday best. Muslims choose certain garments to wear to the mosque. Jewish communities set aside clothes for Shabbat or for the high holy days. Hindus pick certain colors and drape specific fabrics just for puja. Pagans carefully keep ritual robes tucked away, never wearing them outside the sacred circle. The outfits don't look the same, but the thinking behind it is almost universal. When something's sacred, you dress differently. You change your look because the occasion deserves it, and deep down, dressing up is one of the ways humans say, today matters. If you look at pagan practice in particular, people who do ritual work over and over tend to have a special wardrobe. There's usually a robe, a cloak, or maybe just a shirt that only comes out when it's time to do ritual. You won't catch them wearing it at the grocery store or while binge watching a show on a boring night. These clothes aren't just another category in the closet. They're stashed away, reserved, waiting for a reason to step into the light. As soon as you slip them on, two things snap into place at once. The first thing everyone notices is the outward change. You mark the line between the everyday and the sacred. That change isn't for everyone else to see, though. It's a signal to yourself. We've crossed over. Suddenly, your posture feels different, your breathing slows, and your whole body seems to know something's shifting, even before your brain finishes catching up. But there's an inner change, too. Anyone who's ever suited up for a job, tied on an apron, or put on a costume for a play gets this. The clothes themselves start changing the way you think and feel. You walk a little differently. You behave as if you're stepping into a new role because, in a sense, you are. It's not some flash of Hollywood magic. It's just the way your mind recognizes, oh, we're doing this now, and then helps your whole system tune in. What's important is this. The clothes aren't what make a moment magical. It's not about fabric or color or fancy stitching. The power is much more subtle. They help line up your mind and body, giving you what you need to be completely there with no distractions. The outfit isn't the portal, but it's the movement that takes you to the threshold. So, keeping a divide between ritual wear and regular clothes isn't some quirky superstition. It's just practical. Some things are worth keeping special because that act of separation does real work for you. It builds a sense of occasion, and the sacred, whatever that is for you, gets stronger when you quietly, Intentionally mark it as set apart, even if you never need to tell a soul why. Now, I want you to take a real look at what you're holding on to these days. Not just what's on you right now, but the full lineup. Everything you've kept, swapped, outgrown, or just plain lost along the way. Think about the rings that have slipped on and off your fingers over the years. The bracelets. Maybe they showed off different stones, each for a reason, each with a story. Sometimes vanishing without warning, only to be replaced by something that made more sense in the moment. There are necklaces that stuck with you for a single summer, and others you can hardly remember not wearing. Some pieces used to feel absolutely vital, and now you can't remember the last time you bothered with them. The truth is, if you talk to anyone who's really been at this for a while, their collection is always changing. It's never as finished as it looks. The stuff you carry updates itself the same way your practice does, quietly, in the background, with little shifts you maybe only notice in hindsight. I'll give you an example. My own wrist. I can't remember the last time it was actually empty. There's always something there. Right now, I'm wearing 4 bracelets, each with stones I chose for a reason. But a year ago, totally different. And a year from now, I'm sure it'll be different again. Sometimes the change comes because something in my own practice shifts. Maybe a new challenge, a new focus, or just a new season in life. Sometimes a piece simply breaks or gets worn out, and when I go to replace it, I want something new. Other times, I'll just leave my wrist bare for a while, or swap everything out for a simple cuff with a single symbol that feels right. There's never a permanent answer, just a steady presence that keeps shape-shifting to meet the moment. That's a pattern worth noticing. The wrist is always in use, but what's there constantly reinvents itself. It's actually a pretty solid metaphor for the whole process. Practice doesn't stand still. The things that support it shouldn't either. If you try to freeze your collection in time, it stops being helpful. The objects lose their role, their meaning. Here's the trick, where that thread of balance comes in. Knowing when it's time to let go is just as important as knowing when to hold on or pick up something new. Most of us are great at adding to our piles. We're always finding the next stone, the next piece that fits whatever crossroads we're at. Fewer of us are as skilled at recognizing when something's done its job and it's time to lay it aside. That letting go doesn't always have to be a big ritual either. Sometimes you just notice that a piece you used to reach for every day now feels heavy, or like you're wearing it out of pure habit instead of intention. That's your cue. The object isn't a failure, it's just finished the part of the story it was meant for. Some things make the ending obvious, like hematite, which just snaps when it's done, no debate. But most pieces are quieter about it. They just start to drift into the background, until one day you realize you haven't touched them in months. That's an ending too. A subtle, gentle kind. An evolving collection is honest in a way a fixed one can never be. It reflects where you're at right now, not where you started or where you hope you'll end up. The things you choose to carry are a living record, and it's one that's worth checking in on every now and then, because it probably knows more about where you are than you do. So here you are. Whatever you're wearing right now, a ring, a bracelet, maybe a necklace, or something hidden under your shirt where only you know it's there. That didn't just show up by accident. You picked it, or maybe it stuck around so long that the choice faded into the background. Either way, it means something. It's not about where you started or where you think you're headed. It's about where you actually are, right now, doing the work. Remember when the hematite broke at the beginning of this episode? That wasn't just the ring wearing out. It told you something about the ground you've already covered. And in breaking, it left space for whatever's next. That's how it goes. Your little collection is always doing this, reflecting, shifting, keeping track of your practice even when you're not really thinking about it. So, if it's been a minute since you noticed, maybe stop and look. What are you actually carrying today? What have your hands reached for lately? What did you quietly put away? What's still serving its purpose, and what's done its job without asking for any applause? These aren't huge, dramatic answers. They're just true. Most of what it means to keep a practice is quiet honesty, not fanfare. The hematite is on your wrist, or it isn't. Simple as that. The words are pressed against your finger. Maybe the finger armor waits in a drawer for the right day, or maybe today is that day and it's slipped onto your hand. The practice keeps going. The things you wear keep showing you where you are. If something from today stayed with you, you don't have to figure it out right now. Let it sit and do what it does. That's usually where the good stuff happens anyway. You can also find writing from this same place, shorter pieces on Substack and longer ones on Medium. There are links in the show notes. I'm Veyrin Vale, and this has been The Hidden Threshold, part of the Obscure Meridian family of projects. Thanks for being here.